How do you view this threat of President Duterte against ABS-CBN?
Well, if it's the franchise that we're talking about, then definitely it is a threat to press freedom. There's no question about it. Because from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paterno,
Opo.
the complaint of Duterte has to do with the failure of ABS CBN to air the political advertisement way back in 2016. So I don't know the connection between the franchise and the supposed felony that was done by ABS-CBN, because if it's simply the failure of airing an ad, then it's either, well, as the Duterte mentioned, it could be just simply a case for estafa or a case for breach of contract, or just simply asking ABS-CBN to return the money, which is, I understand, around 2.8 million, to cease the operations of a news media organization on the basis of, the failure to air a particular advertisement is, I think, a bit too much. Of course, ABS-CBN also needs to explain, not just to Duterte, but to the people what really happened, since it's now out into the open. But be that as it may, I think the act of Duterte, if we take into account how it is now treating the Philippine Daily Inquirer and how it is threatening, journalists in various forms, I think it is a reflection of Duterte's attitude toward the media, that the media would have to toe the line so that it would not be threatened in any way.
Why is it a threat to press freedom?
Okay, good question. It is a threat to press freedom in the sense that it threatens it ceases the operations, because the franchise is necessary for ABS-CBN to continue its obligation to the public to disseminate information. Now, don't get me wrong, ABS-CBN has its share of weaknesses in terms of reportage, given that it belongs to a dominant media organization and it has its own business interests to protect. And by all means, all people, including government officials, have the right to criticize ABS-CBN for whatever inaccurate reporting or misleading reporting it may commit. But it should be in the context of media criticism and not threatening to close down ABS-CBN. It's just like saying that if a media organization is guilty of something inaccurate or something irresponsible, the punishment should be for it to close down. I think the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Definitely, it's not our intention to say that ABS-CBN is a paragon of press freedom. Far from it. It is far from perfect. However, what is necessary is to look at it in the context of whether or not it deserves to be treated this way by the current administration. If Duterte really has, basis for complaining about, the failure of ABS-CBN to add the advertisement, to air the advertisement in 2016, then it is the obligation of Duterte to bring ABS-CBN to court and let the ABS-CBN officials explain the circumstances behind it. But to cease the operations on the basis of estafa, an alleged estafa, would be a bit too much, I think.
Sir, many Filipinos would ask, what's in it for them? So what if press freedom is threatened? How does this affect the lives of ordinary Filipinos?
Okay, press freedom is a cornerstone of democracy. So you cannot have a functioning democracy if you do not have a vibrant free press. So once you threaten the media, and once the chilling effect really, is ingrained in the minds of the media, then we would be living in, very, very strange circumstances where we only have an illusion of democracy. Because if you do not have an adversarial press, then you do not have what we call a fourth estate, which will serve as a check and balance, to the abuses or, misuse of power by the legislative, executive, and the judicial branches. So while sometimes it is understandable for people to be very much disillusioned with the media, given all its imperfections, given its adherence to certain business interests, we still need to fight for press freedom in the sense that there are still, to the credit of the dominant media organizations, I can cite, there are a lot of responsible journalists out there. And on another note, we should also recognize the fact that there is also the alternative media that can also be a good source of, informed opinion and in-depth analysis. Although the weakness of the alternative media would be its very, very, very limited reach.
Sir, my last question, how do you view the issue of giving out franchises for broadcast companies? Do you think it is still relevant today? And are there alternative ways of doing it without stifling press freedom?
Okay, it's like this. The problem with radio and television is that you have very, very limited frequencies and very, very limited airwaves to provide. Now, for Congress to be the final arbiter of it, I think it's too political for comfort. We don't want news media organizations to be at the mercy of the legislative branch of government. Or in the case of the current setup right now, sometimes you can't distinguish between legislative and executive anymore because they seem to have, the same interest in hand. I'm not saying that the legislative branch is the rubber stamp of the executive, but sometimes there's a tendency toward that direction. So it has become so political. Now, providing so a certain level of regulation may be necessary to ensure that airwaves are not too cluttered. But whoever will give it, I think, should not be Congress. So perhaps it's imperative for us, for the administration right now, especially if we're talking to Martin Andanar, for example, of the PCOO or the National Telecommunications Commission, perhaps we should look at the possibility of coming up with an independent commission. It should be an independent commission that would be manned by responsible media practitioners and journalists and perhaps concerned citizens who would be the ones to decide on franchise applications. Because I think franchising should be part of what we call our self-regulatory mechanism. It should be decided upon by the media practitioners themselves and, maybe some concerned citizens who would serve as the voice of the media audiences. We have to bring it back to the people and to the media